Hi, subscribe to my channel Shobha Rana for more.
But then tell me about your journey of
Yeah.
writing. When did you start?
Yes.
Did you start out very young? And what are the topics that you wrote about initially?
So I was fairly lonely. Like I always had too many friends, but somewhere inside, I don't know if I had that in me to वो जो बोलते हैं ना बेस्ट फ्रेंड्स कि ये मेरी बेस्ट फ्रेंड है इससे मैं सब शेयर करती हूँ फॉर द काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स एंड द काइंड ऑफ एनवायरमेंट दैट वाज एट माई होम आई वाज ऑलवेज लुकिंग फॉर एन एस्केप इट वाज नॉट अ वेरी हैप्पी सिनेरियो एंड पहले तो I was very ashamed of sharing it, but I'm not anymore because what is truth, you know.
Your
and
home?
Yeah, and
You had problems
yeah,
in
I
your
had
home?
problems growing up that my parents weren't the most loving people to each other on earth. And not like they're bad people. Both of them very nice. I can't stand up and say that मेरे पापा ने मेरे और मेरे भाई में फर्क किया कभी भी or I was somewhere not treated well at home, nothing like that. But they were having their own fair share of financial troubles. My mother is an ambitious person in a very small town. Of course it was problematic, and when I talk about ambitious, she's not the ambitious that that not demeaning to any category of ये, but कि वो रुकती नहीं है, वो औरत कहीं रुकती नहीं है. Still I tell her that mama you need to calm down, but she doesn't. She sees that okay, this is the kind of money is required to build a home, this is my husband's earning, this is much I need to earn. She'll take up 5 jobs, she'll do multiple things. Of course it was problematic. My parents were and my father is somebody who wanted like a very calm home. He's not that ambitious. He goes to an office, he comes back, he wants to come home to a cleaner home with very disciplined children, which we weren't. Because we had a lot of our mother in ourselves.
Yeah.
We were a mess.
You still do?
Of course. But now my father has gotten along with my plan of being a very ambitious and very, I don't know, rebel human being. But of course, there were a lot. And when you're a child, it gets to you. And of course, it was getting to me. But I don't know how to go to a school and share your family problems with your friends. Where to go? Where do you go? So that's where a diary came into picture. And honestly, I wanted to stand. I was not doing well at school. I think I also failed one class because I shifted schools from a very average school to a convent. I did not know how to speak in English. I did not know how to understand Malayali accent and learn and perform. I did not know what to do. I was a mess. And that's when there was one time this creative writing competition और मुझे लगा कि सारे बच्चे ऐसे लिखेंगे, आर्टिकल लिखेंगे, वो अपने को पता है अपन बेस्ट नहीं है उसमें, अपन पोइट्री लिखते हैं, क्या पता जीत जाएं. दैट कॉम्पिटिटिव पर्सन इन मी सेड कि आज मैं पोइट्री लिखूंगी एंड द टॉपिक वाज पेट्रियोटिज्म. ठीक है, एंड इट वाज एन ओपन बुक थिंग एंड आई ओपन माय बुक एंड आई सेड I wonder how the country became free. No, I was sitting under a tree wondering how the country became free. That is the first 2 rhyming lines I ever wrote.
Wow.
And there was no turning back. The first 5 poetries were in English, and that's when I confined to Hindi, and it was the most beautiful thing ever. I could not come back, Shobha, from it. I could not. And that became such a beautiful escape. I started reading more novels. I was always a reader. I used to read Champak, but then I started reading good stories. I started finding a very good escape that even there are people shouting at home, I could go to a corner, my room or the washroom, and read my book and find a calm. So honestly, it was an escape that turned. I think every passion is somewhere an escape.
I get
Yeah.
that totally. You can read all the English poetry out there. You can read Neruda and you can read
Yeah.
Socrates and all
Yeah.
of that. But the Hindi ka jo charm hai na, wo,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
and Hindi mixed with Urdu.
Oof.
That's what you do. That's just a killer combination. Your first show when I came with Gulzar and
Yeah.
like Nayab, sign it. Like, in this world
Yeah,
when everybody's taking selfies, I'm like, sign it off. So, I totally get that emotion and that feeling that Hindi has.
Yeah.
So that's how you started. How old were you when you wrote this first poetry? And
I think I was in 9th grade, 2009.
oh my God, that's pretty fairly young.
14, 15. But I don't know. I think even then I used to feel that I was ahead of my age when it came to the maturity of what I was writing. I was writing very, very motivational poetries back then. And maybe क्योंकि मुझे वो motivation शायद बाहर से नहीं मिल रहा था. और सच में ना, I have always been very close to my mother, but since she was going through so much in her journey, she would come back 6 बजे आ रही हैं, कभी 4 बजे आ रही हैं, बीच में आके हमारा लंच बना के वापस जा रही हैं. मतलब she was so busy and she was always taking care of us that I couldn't come back from school and tell her कि मम्मा ये हुआ, because as that I did not want to add to her misery. because there was already so much. तो मेरे को कहीं से ना वो motivation चाहिए था. तो I started writing those. I remember there was this poetry. It was called like चिड़िया वो फिर उड़ी वो फिर गिरी, मतलब you know उसके पंख कट गए. That was the whole poetry about. But then she never stopped fighting. Today when I look back, I feel that was me. That I wrote that for myself, nobody else. And I think it kept me going. And how amazing was that I found something in a classroom full of people where education and topping the class was everything. I found my corner that मेरे class के बच्चे आके बोलते थे तूने कुछ लिखा है क्या पढ़ा ना. I found that, you know.
How inspiring is that at your
Yeah.
at that young an age,
Yeah.
right?